and to effectively kill off all of our Canadian heroes of the past, like Sir John A. Macdonald, Sir Egerton Ryerson, and many others. This is going to cause a very real and severe reaction. And there's no more time to debate in the middle. There's no more time to just sit down at the table and talk about it, right? We are right wingers. We are nationalists. We are Canadians, right? We are Canadians at the end of the day. And we must stand up for this country any means necessary, by any means necessary. Doesn't matter what it takes. We have to win at any cost. That is the mindset that the right wing in Canada needs to adopt. We have to fight for our future. We have to fight for every single inch of this country. And, some people out there, and I've seen this take a couple times on Twitter, and some people out there will say, oh, but it's just Canada Day. If you don't want to celebrate it, then you don't have to. If you don't celebrate Canada Day, then you're not a real Canadian. And I'll stand by that take, okay? I'll easily stand by that take. If you don't celebrate Canada Day and everything that our ancestors have given us, and what our country stands for, how great our country is, how beautiful our country is, then you're not a real Canadian, right? In a serious country, somebody that does not effectively like the country that they are in, they are deemed enemies of the state, right? And, obviously, we are seeing the exact opposite of this happen right now, and we're going to be kind of talking about this later on in the show as our main story, once we get into the new terrorist watch list that Canada has implemented, right? Right now, we see the American regime coming after, the January 6th peaceful protesters that simply walked into the Capitol building. And they're going after these people that love the country, so therefore the government must be acting against the country, right? It's as clear as day what the whole agenda is here. Now, there's a couple terms in this excerpt that I want to focus on. And the first one is what it means to be Canadian. This city guy, I forget exactly what his position was. What is it? It's something stupid, I think. He's like a counselor or something like that. This Brian guy. And he says, we have to think about what it means to be Canadian. We know what it means to be Canadian. We understand our European roots. We understand what our ancestors went through when they settled this land. We understand where our culture comes from and what our values are. We understand all these things. And to actively participate in Canadianism, to actively participate in things like the family unit, to actively be a Christian, to, actively participate in Canadian culture, whether that be things like hockey or eating, Canadian foods, listening to Canadian music, or, creating Canadian art forms. These things are simply Canadian. Look around you, okay? Your four walls and 99% of the inventions that are around you right now are European, right? Canada is a European country. We are European old stock. This is where the vast majority of the population comes from. This is where the founding stock population of this country comes from, right? Canadian values is effectively European values, right? With our own unique Canadian twist that our ancestors have instilled in us when they came and they settled here. What it means to be Canadian. I can tell you exactly what is not Canadian, and that is tearing down statues of our heroes. That is communism. That is, black nationalism, which we're seeing a lot of that nowadays, right? It's not Canadian to be degenerate. It's not Canadian to be, Muslim. And I don't say that in like Muslims can't be here. Obviously, Muslims can live in the country, but Islam is not necessarily a Canadian thing, right? Not everything is Canadian. There is a very obvious, I don't understand why more people don't understand this. It's a very obvious checklist to go down on what is Canadian and what is not truly Canadian, right? And then the other quote here is, where we want to go as a community. we have to consider where we want to go as a community. And you hear this exact phrase a lot, right? You hear council members, you hear politicians, you hear media figures say this phrase all the time. We have to figure out where we want to go as a community. And this simply means that they're going to further the globalist agenda. Where we want to go as a community, that phrase it's simply a cover phrase. They use these types of terms and this phrasing specifically to make it seem like this is this is like up for debate, right? That they're thinking about it, that they're getting input from the actual community members, and that they're going to, weigh all options, and this is a democracy, and da 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 da. But inevitably, we've seen this pattern play out many, many times, whether it be in a city, in a province, or federally. When they say stuff like this, it simply means that in a couple weeks they're going to bow down and give in to the radical leftist, or to this small vocal group of terrorists that threaten them in many different ways, right? That politically intimidate them, right? That violently intimidate them. It's simply just code for, hey guys, there's a globalist agenda, and we're going to enact it. Just give us some time to enact it. That's what it means. That's what it truly means, right? So, that's that. That's Cancel Canada Day.